It's Podular, ladies and gentlemen. The big 3-0. Welcome back for episode 30. Another milestone for me and Scotty here. It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025, and we are here to break down all things Resonate 2025. We're going to be running through the set list, sharing some of our favorite clips from the weekend. And then, not much on the agenda here today. Going to finish things up with an Inspire Strikes Back for our man Scotty. But without bigger ado, introduce him here, our big potamus guy, Mr. Scotty Fuller. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Nate. I'm doing great. And as a big potamus guy, I was a well-fed boy this weekend. I'm feeling good, dude. Feeling really, really good. Happy to be here. Happy 30, man. We've done this 30 fucking times. Hey,
30
man,
times? Yeah,
let
in
me let
30
me talk
weeks.
let me talk some shit, man.
All right.
We said from the beginning that we were never missing a week. We started this right before Halloween. We fucking doubled up a couple weeks the first few times so we could make the Christmas episodes. We could make a Thanksgiving episode, and we're not stopping. And this
No.
is so much fun, man. Like we keep getting better. I don't know, man. It's 30's cool. But you know, we just keep chugging along, and
Yeah.
as long as a few people are checking us out, we're gonna keep doing this shit.
Yeah, and you know, there's a reason that there's a zero behind the episode number. If you're taking a look on YouTube, but man, it's weekends of shows like this. I mean, night one in particular from Resonate, that make it easy to keep doing this, right?
Yeah.
So before we get into the shows, Resonate, it looked like a great time. It looked like the weather was beautiful. It looked like people were taking advantage of everything that they should be in terms of, you know, the beach by the river out there, tons of awesome art. The crowd looked fat. Obviously, the music was on point, not just with Zesty S9, but all the associated acts. So it looked like the vibes were high all weekend. And want to give a special shout out to whoever it was. I've been seeing some content of someone walking around with like a gallon size bag of crawfish and making their way through the crowd and treating it like a bag of Franzia, right? They were holding it up, people were slapping it, but instead of taking a pull of wine, you're getting a handful of crawfish. This, I mean, we've seen caviar bumps. I think we've seen oysters in the crowd before. I think we've seen from the fish side of things, we see the lot baklava and everything like that. Okay, uh, crawdads at the show. Let's make that a thing for sure. That's
Yes.
on. It might have been my biggest FOMO part of the whole weekend.
I mean, probably a good way to catch the stomach version of the Wook flu, but I would not have turned down a crawfish in a setting like that. I don't turn down much in the setting like that. Let's be honest.
Well, you're close enough to the ocean, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's some dude probably trucked those in right from out the ocean. That's a good area for crawfish. I think. I don't
yeah.
actually know.
I would assume so. I might stay away from him in from, like, let's say if it was at summer camp in the middle of Illinois.
Out
I'd
of out of season in Illinois.
yeah, you don't know what kind of weather you're getting that weekend, Memorial Day weekend in Illinois. Yeah, coming up on it, I think it's worth talking about a little bit that this will be the first year we've seen no iteration of Summer Camp Music Festival in Chillicothe, Illinois,
Yeah.
which is
I've
crazy.
I've never went, so it's one of those things that I've never experienced it to miss it, but I know it's cool because a lot of my friends love it, and the band really really loves it.
Yeah,
They show their ass there on a regular basis.
yeah.
So bummer to not see another opportunity for them to pop up there, and sad
Summer
for
camp.
sad for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, as a staple in just growing up in the Midwest, going to University of Illinois, I mean, all our friends would go to that. It was pretty much the Canopy Club. Um,
Music
uh,
festivals.
Yeah, basically hosting a music festival with everyone that worked at the Canopy Club had
Oh,
a golf cart and everything like that. It
cool.
was the homie hookup festival for sure. And like you said, I mean, tons of standout moments from the band's history there. You think of Victor Wooten sit-ins, you think of the 2015 Red Barn show in entirety. You think of just the continued past performances and everything like that too is really cool. So I've been hearing that they're looking to come back next year with some form of it. I know it came back under a different name last year, which made for some good STS9 shows too. But yeah, I'd love to be back in Three Sister Park at some point. But yeah, STS9 almost kind of like the third headliner there with, you have Mo, you have Humphreys,
Humphreys.
and it was more than every other year. There were years where there a lot of consecutive years that they've been here. But speaking of Humphreys too, man, a little bit of a change up there. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
Chris
drummer.
Myers.
Chris Myers. That's crazy.
But I think a cool thing to hit on is, somewhat STS9 related too, is like Scotty Zwang filling in for drums.
Yeah.
That guy can rip drum and bass.
Mm,
If there's anybody I've seen that could hold a candle to the way Zach Velmer does that live, it's him. So seeing him get the nod from doing his time with Sun Squabby and everything like that, and it seems like you're going to be able to see him play in both this year, which is cool. It's dope. So congrats to Scotty. I'll be honest. I think I was of the school of thought that they were going to go ahead and hire Ben Atkin, formerly of Goose, which would have been a really boring decision. So see them go with Scotty is pretty good. Pretty cool.
is that the permanent one moving forward, or?
They haven't said, but I mean, he sat in last year when Chris Myers was still coming back from like shoulder surgery.
Right.
And he did a really good job on some of their heavier metal tracks with the double bass pedal. So it'd be cool to see for sure, and breathe some new life into that band. As I'm sure some Humphreys fans are wondering, like, man, what's next? But just know there's a light at the end of the tunnel anytime there's a lineup switch. So, but
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of these, I mean, for a lot of these bands that we haven't, you haven't seen any significant drop off. Obviously, we hockey sticked up with Alana, but even like Lotus, with Tim, great, still fucking
mhm,
amazing to see
right,
live. I am I know nothing, nothing really about Goose, but they're still crushing, and they seem to get a new drummer every other year.
yeah,
So there is light at the other end of the tunnel, and I guess hold tight and we'll see how it goes.
yeah. Well, let's get into Resonate, man. Obviously, we started with that Biggs, which a little bit of which is the band started with on night one here. And like, man, it's the Biggs 1, 2, 3. I mean, Biggs in particular, I feel like gets left on the table, like more often than not within that segment. Um, every time you hear Biggs one with that new little modular intro is really
Yeah.
cool. I'm sure they walked out to that loop. Um, but like, man, this has got to be one of the more underrated STS9 songs.
I mean, it's a phenomenal opener song.
Mhm.
It's one that I would guess, probably more than half the time it's played, it's to open one set or the other, and it just gets the vibes right, and the Bigs 1, 2, 3. It's basically the same song at this point. You don't ever see those two really played apart. 1, 2, 3 there's a cool 1, 2, 3 that got played out of Surreality or something, at some point, but these two are usually
Squares and
played together.
cubes, I
Square,
think.
was that
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
something like
I
that. Yeah,
remember there being something really wild happening one time with 1, 2, 3, but for the most part, this is kind of its own suite, and a great way to open a show, particularly in a festival set where a lot of people aren't aware of STS9. That sample kind of grabs you by the nuts right at the beginning.
yeah. So, I mean, speaking of being grabbed by the nuts, I mean, you get the Bigs into 1, 2, 3, and then that takes us right into our first clip from night one. I mean, okay, super bouncy and just like feel good STS9 after just that like badass big balled opening segment, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, I love the way that they've used Light the Way as this kind of like super upbeat modular launching point. I think the first really one that got going like this was New Year's Eve 2023 at the Eastern,
Eastern.
where
Yep.
you really started to see the potential of this as being a jam vehicle, and this one really went there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wrote down as I was listening to this that it's really cool to hear so much progress being made on this modular improv thing that the band's been doing for almost a decade now. And to see Hunter feel like he's really growing into kind of that thing when we had Marine on and she was talking about how she wanted to find a place within the band where she was using her voice almost as kind of its own instrument and texturing other things that are going on. Hunter's getting really good at that on the guitar side of things.
Yeah,
Um, and specifically here you mentioned kind of lifting this modular section into like a blissed out vibe. It almost feels like Kaya at certain points.
I get that for
It's
sure.
got that like superhero, like, Superman in a phone booth type vibe. Um, and it just to your point, Light the Way just works so well for it. A really strong way to open up. Almost feels like the type of shit that you would hear at an encore.
For sure. Yeah, just that uplifting major key type
Yeah.
stuff where he's just soaring over that modular beat, which just gallops and does not quit. And then
Yes.
hearing them kind of like power down the spaceship at the end where Alana hits you back with the doon doon doon
Hmm.
doon to bring kind of the full ethos of the Light the Way song back. Was really cool to hear for sure. So
Yeah.
bitching opening segment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, yeah, and then we get into a Worry No More, which before we get into that, I think talking about, sorry, I'd be remiss to talk about the kind of the gap between songs here. 9 month gap for a Bigs 1 2 3 Light the Way. Last time they did it was at Flagstaff, so cool to see stuff like that pop up after a little bit of a hiatus. Wouldn't necessarily call it a bust out, but really cool stuff. And then yeah, you get into some of my favorite. Speaking of Maureen,
Yep.
TUI content with Worry No More. Again, just a song that the further it, the more time that accrues between it and its release, the more maturity we see out of it, right?
Yeah.
And man, it goes. I don't know if they've done this, but a segue into this track right here that we're about to clip, and I don't think we've seen that before. That's really cool. I mean, we're gonna play the second half of this next song, so they go into STS9, right? And I thought like a really smooth, buttery segue into the first half of that song. And bro, this STS9 before we even get into into the second half of it, which I think was the highlight of the entire weekend. Um, man, that first half, this really sizzled here, and I was texting you when the boards came out, and I sent you a screenshot of this track, and I was like, okay, well, this is a no brainer to clip, and I didn't even got to the second half, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I would say probably I was through the glass when you texted me that, so I was 10 to 15 minutes ahead of you in the set. And I completely agree. This is one of those, man. We're gonna talk about this one again at the end of the year. It'll be on the list. I have a feeling because this shit is really good from front to back. There's a couple of ways that we could have clipped this one out.
yeah, well, this was the only way to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
God.
What?
Oh.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Good fucking God Almighty, dude.
Phip spoke 4 languages on that song.
Dude, nobody was safe from that. Nobody was marked safe from the STS9 outro at Resonate 2025. They're still looking for people. Um, I mean, dude, I just that line he played then he played it again just in case you didn't hear it the first time, right?
And
I'm
then
gonna run that little chord progression back.
then he just started chirping like a bird. Doing, "Woo, woo, 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 woo." Fucking robins just started circling around this man's head.
Except I'm the one getting knocked out with the runs. Like, dude, yeah, I have CTE from this shit, dude. For my money, that is the best STS9 outro. The zestiest one, at least, that I've heard. Like you said, I think this is gonna go down as one of the sickest things that happens this year.
We could call it the Zesty S9.
There we go. Love
I'm
it,
here all
love it.
night.
Yes. Oh man. So that caps off that segment, and then we talk about segments and segues, right, from this night, and boy was it chock full of them, right? This next nonstop segment starts with the only song, Scotty, that the band repeated all weekend from any of their Resonate shows. I don't know if you saw their
Yeah, no, I saw it. I was gonna bring it up at some point.
right at 90. So after night after night one, they had put in their post. Now that caps off only after Glass Z13, which they did the Glass Peoples the year before, had been the only song that they had repeated between Resonate 23, 24, and 25, and continued to be that way throughout the weekend. So after night one, it was 95 unique songs. They played 12 more songs the next night. 107 unique songs over a 3 year history at a festival that saw extended sets, that saw act sets. That's pretty fucking impressive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool that as a fan that might be local to that area or within driving distance to that area that doesn't get to travel a whole lot, that the band can be thoughtful enough to make sure that if you're pulling up to this event that I guess wasn't really billed as an STS9 event this year, but certainly was the 2 years previous, that you get your money's worth, and that you're not traveling for stuff that you've seen recently, because that matters to a lot of people. I just think it speaks to the thoughtfulness that this band carries with them.
Yeah, and like it'd be awesome to see more of that, right? If we get some kind of like, let's say even 2 to 3 weekend tour, right? Like it'd be really cool to see no repeats. I think probably this year it's unlikely due to us coming off, we're going to be coming off the release of a bunch of new music, but
Right.
um fuck man, they've released a ton of new music in the last 3 years, even, and and sometimes that makes it easier, right? Hey, we've got so much new stuff to play where it's going to result in less repeats, and
Yeah.
I'm all about that too. So that's definitely a cool element. So yeah, they start this segment with Glass Z13, then into this next segment of just absolute fuckery.
God damn it, dude. That's fucking insane. Woo!
Jesus. Oh my God. Oh, dude. Okay. If I get one call from prison, that's it. That's the one
Yo, I do you think frogs reproduce at a higher rate when STS9 plays outside? Like, do you
I
think the
mean,
noise that Alana makes just like they're like, oh, like let's go, ribbit, ribbit,
yeah.
ribbit.
I'm surprised that they don't just converge on the stage from out of the creek for sure.
Like the
Lo-
bats in Egypt with the Grateful Dead. Um,
or yeah,
um, hey, in all seriousness, man, Phipps is having a career stretch right now.
yeah,
Um,
dude. This night was absolutely fucking bananas from him, dude. I mean,
dude, he is an absolute problem. Every single time his fingers hit the keys. I mean, he's there's no lead to this band, but I like to think whoever has the hottest hand is kind of the lead at the time, and Phipps is the lead of this band right now. This is it is from Jam Cruise on this year. He has been in a different gear from start to finish.
yeah, I agree. I was getting some texts from people who were there, letting me know that like Phipps was doing like crowd pump ups in between songs, like like how Zach gets off the kit and
Yeah.
is like, come on, like apparently Phipps with his people are calling them the micro aggressions and micro expressions, like he knew it too, dude. Like I mean, I would have got through that. I mean. I did. I got through that STS9. I was like, dude, who pissed in his cereal this morning? What the fuck? Um, so this is dangerous. Like you said, this is weapons grade call, and this is labeled call. It's
Yeah.
which I've been trying to kind of figure out. And is this is kind of like a full call, I guess, where like they bring it back full circle twice. It's a fast call. So maybe that's the difference that we're looking at.
Okay, so we're saying that there's outside of just whoever's whoever's set listing these things every night, how they're feeling, there's a difference between call and call jam.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and this had been the first Feel It in over a year. They hadn't played it since the Sky Deck either. So comes back full force like this. I think it's been in. They've fucked with it with Call Jam. I think most memorably from again, let's go back to the 2023 New Year's Eastern run, but it was like a slow Call Jam like this. This shit is just like like running on absolute diesel, just like 18 wheeler chugging down the highway, like fast call, which it is sizzling here. And then they finish it out by going back to Feel It. So when it's all said and done, this segment on paper reads Glass into Feel It into Call Jam into Feel It or into Call rather. Whew, that'll get you sweating for sure.
A couple other things I'm noticing on the set list. It seems like we are done with the 3 carats on our set list. They're
At
not.
least on this one, I don't know who listed that, but if I'm running set list, I'm still using the carrots and the alligator mouths for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's not it's not listed at the bottom either. Usually they kind of give you a little bit more detail here at the bottom. So
right.
changes all around.
Yep.
And
Well,
then
yeah,
and then called it right after, no pun intended.
yeah.
But it spoke on a conversation I had with Hunter after Sweetwater, where he said that if they continue to kind of crank through these longer sets like this, they might do some interlude stuff, and then boom, you get yourself kind of a modular interlude type
Super
type of song.
spacey,
Yeah,
really
really
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And completely separate from the call or the field or however it ended up,
Sure.
and then like full into a full stop and start into Soul Slap, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, breaking up these 2 hour sets is that's kind of your set break a little bit, but they didn't really give you much time to catch your breath with that. It was pretty intense. So what? Again, what have we been saying about these 2 hour sets? What did we say about this weekend coming in that this Thursday show is going to be an absolute slapper? And yeah, up to this point, it is. And that Soul Slap, I think we're having a hard time not clipping it.
Yeah.
But another standout version. Did you have notes on it?
I wanted to, but I didn't take the time to make the case. I do feel like you might be right. We've done it a couple times, but just a really really strong song, that it keeps growing these really cool modular sections, and isn't even it doesn't even feel like it's kind of at its full growth yet. I mean,
Right.
I think we're going to see a 15-minute soul slap at some time, at some point soon.
Right.
Um, but this one clocks in almost at 11 minutes. We talked about it outside of the pod, and a really really strong version of the song that I think is a pretty logical choice to pop up on the new album at some point.
Yeah. No, I would not be surprised for sure. And then you get a Sky High. I feel like it'd been a little bit since Sky High.
It's a good one, a really good
Yeah.
one. And do we think that we see any of these Sky songs on the album?
I would be surprised. I
Okay,
think that is maybe if any of them walk the sky, right?
sure.
But yeah, I would be surprised if we see more than one of them.
Yeah, the
But
Sky High feels like the least likely one because the Goody Mob sample, and
right,
we've already lost a sample to this album, so I wouldn't expect it to. Um, but that sounded so salty. I didn't mean it like that.
no, no, no.
I'm totally fine with Stranger Games in its current form. I just wouldn't expect them to do Sky High because that's like the central part of that song.
Right, the Goody Mob samples and how they chop it up is really
Yeah.
cool. Um, then into another really cool. I haven't seen this before. Like in terms of these two songs segued, and I mean you talk about segue. So Lift You Up starts, and honestly Lift You Up's been a jam vehicle since really the beginning of 2023. There's some incredible versions. I know we shared the version from Santa Cruz that year on the show, which for my money is the best one, but for my money this was like the coolest segue we've seen, maybe outside of Lift You Up into HB Walks the Sky. But I mean,
Yeah, put that
the
one on its own shelf.
the way that this Breathe In unfolded halfway through the Lift You Up was full on, like you said, 2018, 2019 segue mode, STS9. Like where I mean, it was just 2 tracks playing at the same time, and that Breathe In intro is goes super hard. I mean, Phipps got in his bag again during that. And then, yeah, I mean, you get us to this second section of Breathe In, which is going to be another clip for us here on Pop Podular. Man, I
Have I
mean,
ever told the story of my aha moment on here?
let's do it. Go for it.
So it was Oxford, Mississippi was my first show. I was a young boy. Sorry, Aunt Carol. My aunt listens to every single episode. I curse enough on this, but I also smoked cigarettes back then. Um, and I was taken to the show with from a couple of buddies of mine, Phil Costas, Pierce Brooks, just to name a few. And I was having the time of my life. I was smoking a cigarette in the venue, and I was on we'll call them party enhancers. And I was just really focusing on my breath, specifically these really deep breaths of smoke, and I was just really enjoying the moment and really enjoying the specific act of breathing in this smoke that I was smoking. And I turned to my friend at the end of the piano song. I said, "What the fuck is the name of this song?" And my buddy goes, "Breathe in." And I said,
No way.
"This is my favorite thing I've ever done in my life." I said that to him that night. I said, "This is my favorite thing I've ever done in my entire life." I'm getting teary-eyed talking about it because truly, I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday because it in that moment it spoke to just the band's ability to capture something so simple but yet so important, like the act of breathing and the focusing on your breath. Um, yeah, I don't know. I definitely have not told that story on here. So
Damn.
that's what made me fall in love with this band is that song. If you put a gun in my head and give me one song that I can take with me on a desert island, it's Breathe In for sure.
Yeah. I what kind of cigarette was it?
Oh, probably an American Spirit. It was a
Okay.
good one, dude. It was as good of a cigarette as you've ever had in your life.
It would
Maybe the
have take
best,
it would have
honestly.
taken you the entirety of this breathe in to finish an American Spirit for
Exactly.
sure.
That was why I said it was a spirit because I was specifically smoking it the whole song, so it had to be. Even in 2010 when Breathe In's clocked in about 9 or 10 minutes,
Yeah.
yeah, it was probably a spirit.
During this intro, I might have been smoking that shit to the filter pretty quickly. Shit got pretty crunchy, but hey, there's a free ad for American Spirit.
Yeah.
Uh, cigarettes can do good, everybody. Look at Scotty now.
It's
Um,
been over a decade. I don't do that shit anymore, Aunt Carol. Sorry.
yeah, really special. Like you said, Mama, there goes that man again with Phipps here. And really taking his time with letting us down. From the hug your friend, high five your buddy uh, section of this song, and then sneaking in the very sneaky Eula um, samples near the end there. You know, if with to you might not hear them to the untrained ear, but they're in there, right?
Yeah, they're in there at the beginning too. They're just turned down even lower. I turned my headphones all the way up as soon as they were supposed to come in, and they're in there. They just get turned up a little bit, as it gets a little as it like winds down. Those samples get louder.
Yeah. I'd like to see them how they used to be, where it was like so prevalent. Obviously,
Sure.
that's our dog's namesake is Eula, but it almost makes it like now it makes it like that much more special where you don't notice them as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd really like to see him knock our fucking socks off with the Eula samples again at some point. I'm sure we will. But
Yeah.
all these things are cyclical with this band.
I was just thinking there's also something fun. There's this fun thing that us as jam band people get to do with our music, where you have your bands that you're familiar with, and if you're really a big fan, you know generally how long these songs tend to come out, and then every once in a while you get that first soundboard, and you're like, whoa, a
Yeah,
14-minute breathe in. What the
right.
fuck what's going on with those last 4 minutes or whatever it is? And that anticipation is I don't know. It's just it's so fun. I saw that for this breathe in, and it just got really excited. It's like opening up a new Christmas present.
Yeah, and if you really clock it back to like where they really kind of brought it in to lift you up, I would say this one's closer to 17, 18 minutes,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly.
Like almost a Red Rocks 2021 where they
Right.
really open it up. That's like a true 16 minutes, some odd breathe in.
Yep. Or the 2012 breathe in from think it was 2012 from the Tabernacle in 2019. That was really fucking cool too.
Oh yeah. I know the one you're talking about.
Well, we got two more songs this set, and we're gonna hear a little bit of both of them here. So that brings us to the.
Oh, we're fucking now. I
Who would have
will.
thought? Who? I will stay up.
I will stay up. I'm here.
Who would have thought, dude? Potamus into Sun, Moon, and Stars? I guess
Dude,
Zach
that
Velmer would have
that
thought. Like,
that little back and forth between the satisfy and the stay up. eh,
yeah. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Come
That
on,
little,
dude.
yeah,
Like
intertwine
we're
of that.
fucking we're clowning now, dude. Like Phipps has got on face paint. There's red noses on stage. It's a whole fucking deal, dude. I don't know what to tell people that aren't paying attention, but like we are fully in this shit fucking around every single night some shit like this happens.
Yeah, yeah, they're captains of the fuck around boat for sure. Um, yeah, Hunter's got the clown shoes on. Alana's wearing a pinwheel hat. You know, all the good stuff. Um, I liked how Phipps emerged from the deep depths of hell that he had you in the whole night to give you that breathe in, that beautiful piano piece, just to return back to hell
Uh-huh.
with this Potamus. I mean, dude, he's like just taking the ball and running with it like Barry Sanders at this point. Like he's reversing fields 3 or 4 times. He's throwing Herbie Hancock rocket teases at you. Like the man is just fucking possessed, dude.
Yeah.
Like
And this is another one of those moments, right? We talked about it last week when we were hitting on presence of light. We talked about the presence of light, how they let it ride, and we almost walked away, and then the dance came in. Um, Very similar feelings on a I would say on in a much cooler example of it with this breathe in, where I imagine if you're there and you've seen a few STS9 shows, you're if you don't have your phone or your watch, you're like, okay, we're done after this. This breathe in is it. And then the boom, Potamus,
yeah.
dude, into Sun, Moon, and Stars. Like, send them out with a party, dude. That shit's really cool.
Yeah, and from some of the videos I saw, it seemed like everyone was getting the fuck down here. Really cool to see Herbie Hancock tease his pull up in this one. I don't know if we'd seen it in Epotamus. We've seen it in a really what quite a bit. Kamwai, I know that. Do new things, and then again, I've never seen a Sun, Moon, and Stars come out of Epotamus either. And like you said, just the cool intertwine between the new Sun, Moon, and Stars modular line with the new Potamus modular line with
Yeah.
the samples they've been throwing in with the Potamus with the Sun, Moon, and Stars samples. Um, so I mean, you take a look at this show. I don't think they played a better set at Spirit of Suwannee Music Park.
Ah,
I don't think the one set holds
little
up to
get,
this.
little
Um,
given hot take here. Okay.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, and again, it's one of those 2 hour sets. What do we fucking tell you?
I'm gonna talk about this 2 hour set a little bit more in the Inspire Bring It Back. But yeah, man, it seems to be where the band finds these extra gears. I think it's something worth exploring without saying too much more. But yeah, yeah, I think this is as good as it gets. This is exactly what we said it was gonna be.
Yeah,
Um, the opening night, just teeing everybody up for a good weekend, and that is exactly what they did.
100%. And I mean, 5 clips from one show in over the course of a
Right.
multi-night run, that'll probably be the tops of it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a reason behind it. I thought night two was cool for sure, but I mean, this night was, I mean, just head and shoulders above night two.
Yeah,
But
there's nothing wrong with it. Like
no.
and some people might disagree with us. Some people might say night two smokes night one. Pass whatever you're smoking over here if that's your opinion. But um, it's to me night one is it. Fuck resonate sets. Fuck Spirit of Swanee sets. This is a really good STS9 set on any night in any city. You
Yeah,
walk away really, 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 really happy with what just happened.
for
Um,
sure.
this is special anywhere you go. Night one stands tall above a lot of shit.
It does. And again, what a night to be Phipps's keyboards. They were just getting pounded. I mean, they were bruised after night one. I mean, so let's get into night two, right? An opener that I really like, When the Dust Settles Reprise. Um, what are your thoughts on When the Dust Settles versus When the Dust Settles Reprise?
I like Reprise a little bit better.
Hmm.
I don't know if I've said this on this podcast or not, but somebody told me that even if you don't like When the Dust Settles or When the Dust Settles Reprise, pound for pound, those are some of the best lighting situations that you're gonna see from the band. It's kind of when all the tricks get pulled out. I did say that when we were talking about the about Nashville. But
Hmm.
yeah, I like Reprise a little bit more. It's a little bit more instrumental. It kind of tells a little bit more of a story to me. But I've always been a fan of these songs, and I think I would say when I first got into STS9, When the Dust Settles, was probably one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, and the Reprise just gets the blood flowing as an opener. It's a really good tone setter. And then you get Your Infinity. And I was thinking about what the specific song off Peace Blaster, Your Infinity, reminds me of. That na, 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 na. It really calls back to the spectacle.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and that's the portion that that's the song that portion really reminds me of. So I mean, again, just like the first one, they aced it. If not, this one was even cleaner. Um, so you get the Your Infinity, the new seed, if you will, and then Walk the Sky, one of my favorites of the songs that have come out over the last handful of years. Just a drum and bass banger, 10 plus minutes. Um, Typically that's one that goes out there pretty good. And then back to TUI with Out of the Scheming World, Out of This World into Scheme, which is a standout version of Scheme for sure. I mean, what versions of Scheme haven't been standout in the last handful of years? This
Yeah.
one was no different, right? Um, I saw some people list it as Peachtree into Vapors. There's your point, by the way, Scotty. You're now up
Yep.
11-7.
Yep.
I'll give you that one. But this was a standalone Peachtree. Um, One of the decisions I'd question, like, hey, if we're gonna do a standalone Peachtree, why aren't we, walking it out a little bit here, right? It's still something we're kind of waiting for.
Yeah. I think I think there's with night I think night two kind of resembles what you might imagine a festival set to look like for STS9 a few years ago.
Hmm.
I think the idea of a kind of classic festival set like this band is known for, I think that's dead. But a lot of songs kind of that are maybe a little bit more friendly to the people that don't really know STS9. And so you've got that Out of the Scheme in the World, and then a Peach Tree because they want to play it. I mean, they just dropped it. I get it, but
Yeah,
you
no, it
know,
still sounds fucking awesome.
yeah, but
Like,
not really a set going back to the 2 hour sets versus the hour and a half. They don't really have time. I mean, if they want to
right.
get all of these songs off, just not a set that you're probably going to see Peachtree get jammed out like you would in maybe a two set show after this song's been rinsed a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think they kind of find this groove after this Peachtree with the second half of the set. This 6 song segment that is just dance party front to back.
Yeah,
So Peachtree did end no true segment between Peachtree and Vapors, but Vapors did see a little bit of a segue into the return of It's All Right, right?
right.
Really smooth there. I thought that sounded great. And then we get kind of what we've been thinking about with the release of this new song with Life's a Symphony and Unity. It's all right. Like the combination of It's All Right into Life's a Symphony and Unity, which sounded fucking great.
Yeah,
And I'm excited to see the full. I think the full suite when they're done with it is Like I Do into It's All Right into Life's a Symphony. But to see
cool.
the start of this start to be mixed together with the song that came before it is really cool. And then just like another really awesome jam off the back end of this Life's
Yeah.
a Symphony and Unity. It's all right.
Yeah, this is gonna be one that's played a lot. Like a lot of these new songs, you can expect to see this shit be very frequent in over the next year, and is something that I'm excited to see grow. Usually, when songs are in this cycle of the life, you see things get experimented. I think of Get Loud, and I think of all the stuff they did with it on that tour immediately after releasing it, and how that thing just kind of grew into something completely different. And yeah,
Yeah, but already fundamentally different from his debut,
sure,
right?
yeah,
With the It's All Right into it.
yeah.
So really cool to see and definitely worth listening to that back end of it. Um, this Moon Socket, ooh, I thought it was a little bit of a different tempo to start out. It was a little bit slow, but like a little bit of that nasty slowness that was added to the Hubble, where the Hubble I know came out of another song from Nashville, but kind of took it down a little bit at the beginning of it with the tempo and really allowed Alana to hit it hard on the fret tracks right off the bat. And just this short little 2 minute clip of it in the middle that we're gonna share what sounded like some new zestiness added to it. That's I guess that's the theme for tonight is Zesty S9. Woo! That is spicy little segment there.
Just a lot of bang for your buck there.
Yeah.
Not the longest moon socket, but stuffed full of flavor.
Yeah, no, in full 12 minutes for sure. And like I'm like, we were talking about it, it's super gritty intro, slowed down a little bit too, and they seem to kind of pick up the tempo by the time it gets to this point, which is cool to see them play around with the tempo of these old tracks, because it can bring out kind of a new vibe from it for sure. And saw a lot of new music this night. So that for them to hit on some of the old, some of the 20th century STS9 in Moonsocket is really cool. But that gets us into the final segment, which we've clipped up here for us, and another new segue that we hadn't heard before, with these two tracks. Man, I love this segment for Perk World. I really do. Um,
Perk World really shines bright on this one.
so you get a Chromolite track and light reveals into Shaky Ground to finish out the weekend. And cool little tidbit here. I think both of our favorite moments for Shaky Ground by itself, really, I think I got to go with the Brace Yourself, Jason is my favorite one from New Year's Eve. Um, but that version from Chicago, right?
That's mine.
And you see another Chromolite song go into that one, and that one's Light Obscures into Shaky Ground. This is Light Reveals into Shaky Ground.
Ah,
So a little bit of play on words there and a play on just the
yeah,
catalog with seeing Chromolite songs into this Shaky Ground song. So I thought a really fun way, percussion heavy way to end the weekend, and then a nice um, uh, a nice extended little segment of Shaky Ground out of it as well, out of the core of it too. So fun way to end the weekend for sure.
absolutely. Shaky Ground just continues to grow on me more and more. I've said this before, but it feels like the first kind of full modular song that the band has made. And yeah, I great set closer. You don't see it too many other places other than closing a set or kind of as an encore, but
Hmm.
it kind of fits very well with this festival set. The night two set so far.
Yeah, that puts a wrap on Resonate
Yeah.
2025. Obviously, night one was the night we told you it was going to be. David Phipps was the MVP. It has been all year.
I
But
know.
I mean, Perk World was up to no good. Alana was really feeling herself on a lot of these tracks too. Hunter Brown, obviously, with some of those huge moments, like we heard on that 1, 2, 3. I mean, set list writing, especially with that first set, man, or that first night, continues to be chef's kiss.
Yep.
Just in terms of hitting on all the different parts of their catalog. Um, yeah, the last 3 years of Resonate really got it with 107 unique STS9 songs.
So cool. So cool.
But we are finishing things out today with this week's Inspire Bring It Back. And Scotty, you're up.
Yep. Um, so back in I believe it was 2009, right? They were doing one set shows as a tour. People hated it back then. Um, but I think we've talked about it enough in the last few weeks that um, I think it'd be cool to revisit it. But that's not the bring it back part that I'm really focusing on. I would like to see uh, I would like to see them bring back college tours. Um,
Mhm.
I think you know this band we know who they are, and if you're in the jam scene, they know who they are. But I don't know how many college kids know what STS9 can do today, if they know them at all. And I think a cool way to kind of get in front of those kids would be an SEC college tour. Hit a bunch of southern towns that are with put some producers on the front end to open up for you, and then come out and play 2.5 hour throwdowns.
Yeah.
A la Sweetwater and a la Thursday night that we just discussed. I think that's kind of the appetite for what college kids are looking for, and STS9 can absolutely do that. So why not do that and get in front of as many new faces as possible right now?
Well, I mean, we saw how they did for a college kid for your cousin when we took him to a show in
Sure.
Nashville. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
what they're what they're doing right now, like you said, and like you said, you don't even know what these kids if they know about STSI, what they're capable of at this point, and their ability to throw a dance party on a Thursday night in a college town is just as good as ever.
Hmm.
And like you said, they're just absolute beatdowns, these shows. And Yeah, let's get some Big Ten schools in there too. Hit up Iowa City, hit
Sure,
up Canopy Club
sure,
again too. Not just
absolutely.
SEC, right?
Yeah,
But
I'm obviously speaking a little bit from my experience, and
right.
you know, when I was cutting my teeth with this band, it was Oxford and Knoxville and Fayetteville
Hmm.
and Charleston, which is an SEC town, but close enough.
Yeah.
Athens. Fuck, dude, let's just do Athens if we're just
Columbia. Yeah,
yeah,
Columbia,
you
South
know,
Carolina. Yeah.
all that. Like, it just it was so easy. I know touring is harder the these days than it was back then, but you know, that's that also in terms of stops, it's a pretty easy run to do.
Yeah, I
So
think they could strip it down with not huge production either, and like you said, help to sell tickets with a young producer that people are going to be familiar with. I think it's doable for sure if we're coming
yeah.
from someone who knows nothing about it funding a
Knows
tour.
jack
But
shit about touring,
yeah,
exactly. Neither one of us know what the fuck we're talking about per usual, but
yeah, but for the sake of the
that
segment, yeah,
yeah, I would love to see it, and you know, I think it would be very beneficial for the band, and I think it'd be ultimately be a net plus for the fan base.
I'm with it. I'm with it. I'll go act like a college kid for 4 nights. Who cares?
Yep.
Um, well, that's it. Puts a wrap on episode 30, and look at that, we're getting you out of here in 90 minutes.
Hey,
So
we're
nice and efficient.
it only takes
Um,
29 episodes to or 28 to break to get under that hour and a half mark. So
right.
we're growing.
um, But next week, we're super excited for. Scotty teased it last week. We've got the first edition of the Vault series here on Pod Podular, where we're going to be uncovering some never before heard audience recordings that are super high quality and breaking it down for you and releasing it. So, super pumped for that. But yeah, other than that, everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend. A safe travels if you're traveling for the holiday. Thanks for listening and watching. If whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Music, like, subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment if you're feeling nice. But yeah, appreciate you, Scotty. Appreciate all you, and we'll see you next week. Love y'all.